For my new subscribers, I do videos every single day. I usually do 3. And if you look at the bottom of your screen where it says the description box of the YouTube video, you will see I have a link there titled Today's Playlist. If you click that link, it will bring up all 3 of my videos and they will play one after the other to make life easier for you. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, a couple of things. First off, me and my buddy Frank, we were talking about the vote today, which today is Friday night, in case you're wondering when I'm doing this video. And I said, I don't know if it's going to pass. I don't know if it's going to pass. Oh, it'll pass. I was like, even Trump came out right away, like late last night, and was like, if it doesn't pass today or tomorrow, that's it. We're not going to push again. That's it. We're going to move on. And he's like, yeah, but Trump's a smart guy. He may have just said that to just make it seem like it's not a big deal, whatever. He's like, because Frank's a salesman. He knows sales tactics. He's like, it's a sales tactic. You make it look like it's not that big of a deal. Fine, you don't want to do it, we don't have to do it. Just walk away. Oh, no, wait. Actually, we might, I was like, but I just don't know, man. There's a lot of people who don't like him. But not only that, and I mean people as in Congress, but not only that, you have the Republicans, and especially a couple different groups within the Republicans, that do not like the Ryan Care bill, if you will, the way it is. And they said it yesterday, Thursday, which while they didn't have the vote Thursday, they're supposed to all go home by Friday. They decided no, because we're probably going to vote on this Friday. And after everyone gave their huge big speeches and the pluses and the minuses, pros and cons, and the Democrats crying about it and all that, they pulled the bill at the last minute. I thought, Paul Ryan pulled it. I thought, like they're lucky Larry Silverstein on 9/11 regarding Building 7. The fire department just told us to pull it, and they pulled it. Yeah, okay. The building came crashing down. Right. But as we saw, the market didn't know what the hell to do. It was already coming down quite significantly. I think it was 100 and something points down, if I recall, at one point. Then all of a sudden, okay, we're pulling it. We're not going to do the vote. Market rallies. Oh, but now it didn't rally past into the green. It was still red. And then all of a sudden, like the last 10 minutes or 15 minutes, whoop, never mind. And then it stopped. Didn't go down as far as it was. It started coming back up again. Oh. And I commented on my other video, like, it looks like it stopped at 40. Dow Jones down 40. I just looked a minute ago. It was actually around 60, down in the red. The markets don't know what to think of, They're waiting on the tax, stuff anyway. So that's what they're really concerned about. That's what's on the agenda next. So that's what the market's really worried about. Whatever. So I'm looking at this article from Zero Hedge, and I got this other one about subprime auto loans. I want to talk about as well from Wolf Street. Subprime auto loans crushed worse than in 2009. Auto industry bleeds and knock-on effects commence. That's funny. I thought we had cash for keys. Cash for keys was the new deal for the auto industry, right? Cash for keys. Get rid of your old clunker, get a big government subsidized, payment help with your new car, whatever. Bonus, like almost like a, zero down and $5,000 off of retail price, plus the government's little deduction. They're going to take care of that. Here we are back in facing the same thing again in slightly different reasons, but I may get into that in this video. We'll see. If not, I'll be probably doing a video after that, maybe combine another couple. Anyways, this really caught my eye today at Zero Hedge. Over half of American cities are now dominated by renters. Think about that. I thought we were told the number one thing we want to be in this country, to say, hey, this is America, I'm an American, and I am living the American dream. Even if that American dream isn't exactly upper middle class, or maybe even lower middle class. Hell, maybe even below that when you start eking towards poverty line. You could still say, but I got a house. I own a house. Even though I'm making a payment, mortgage, not rent, mortgage, I'm living the American dream. Right? It's like critical that you own a house in order to live the American dream, like to really fulfill it. You know what I mean? This is my piece of property. It's in America. It's mine. Unless you don't pay your property taxes, they'll come take it from you. But let's not discuss that for now. You know, I don't want to ruin rain on my own parade. You know what I mean? So let's pretend I didn't say that, even though that's a fact. But anyways, that is what it takes to really truly live the American dream. Home ownership, that was the key, right? I think one of the old, matter of fact, I think I may mention in this article, was it Roosevelt or someone had mentioned that. Now, again, over half of American cities that used to not be majority renters are now majority renters. So as I've been talking about this rental apocalypse, the real estate apocalypse, of course the retail apocalypse, Sears, as you just saw, another one bites the dust. Jiminy Christmas. Right after the day before I had to do one just prior to that. But like I was saying in generally about the real estate market, you had people like me, owned a house, 2008 hit. No bankers went to jail. They got massive bailouts. You had to get out of your damn house. You lose. I played it smart. I stayed in my house as long as I could. I fought the foreclosure, and I got a settlement and left. They got the house, yes, but I got a settlement and left. I wasn't going to play that game. You are not going to screw over J. Snip 4. No, I'm not going to take it lying down. I understand the courts, they'll produce, you can use reproduced copies of the note. Sure, bank, I'll accept that. Whoa, they don't have the original? Not an extremely important document, Your Honor? I can understand if this was the first or second case you might have heard where the banks asked to reproduce documents because maybe a fire or a flood or something. But, Your Honor, I already know, and I'm not talking like I actually said this to the judge. We never even got that far. But if I was there, Your Honor, I know this isn't the first time a bank regarding a foreclosure has come in and asked for reproduced documents. They do it every time practically. Am I correct? Yeah, you are. Why the F are you letting them do it? Well, son, because if I don't, all the people will get their houses. The people will talk to other people, social media. They'll all figure it out. This is a Ponzi scheme. It's a scam, and they don't have any of the paperwork. They don't have any of the damn documents. They have no choice but to produce them. And then the court system will be flooded with people fighting and trying to get their houses, and we can't side with them because then the banks lose. There's no money. There's no debt creation. It's catastrophic. This is a national security issue. So we just let them do it, for short. Thanks, Mr. J. Snip 4. That's how that conversation would probably go. But the point is, where are we now? All of us former homeowners. We're renting. We got screwed over, and now we're renting. And not only are we renting, we're renting for higher prices than what we had to pay for our mortgage. That takes less money out of our pocket, obviously, to pay for rent or to buy things. Stimulate the economy. Which is why these numbers I tell you about every freaking day on my channel are the real deal. Hard data, not soft fake voice, noisy Federal Reserve for noise, a lot of noise in the data. No, your crap, my crap. My crap is not crap. It's real data. And it says we got a massive, massive problem. Forget healthcare. Forget the tax stuff. You are talking about tens of trillions of dollars, unfunded liabilities, and the debt ceiling. We still got to have the debt ceiling fight. Is that next, or are we going to do the tax thing first? Because they made it seem like we got to kick the can now. Is this what happens in a country that's prosperous, number one economy? Everyone wants to come here. Everyone wants to live the American dream. I mean, really? Anyways, during his that's right, first thing, Herbert Hoover. That's who I was talking about. During his 1928 election campaign, President Herbert Hoover, not the Hoover vacuum cleaner guy, by the way, defined the American dream as a chicken in every pot and a car in every garage. And while the chickens and cars, courtesy of mass subprime auto loan bubble, don't seem to be much of a problem these days, you need a 6-year loan on a car? No problem. 7 years? 8 years? Might be able to squeak a 10-year out for you if you need it. We want everybody to be able to have something. Own a car. What happened to the 3-year loans? 4 and 5-year, typical. No. People can't afford the cars these days. So they do what we did from the Great Depression. a 6 to 10 or so, 6 to 10, I think, year normal mortgage back in the early 1900s, like I keep talking about, that was normal. 6 to 10 years, 40% down. Today, as of the Great Depression, they extended it 30 years so that people can get kicked out of their houses. So now we're stuck in these things called houses for 30 years with these huge, massive amounts of money owed on them for 30 years. What's the solution? Maybe they'll give us a 40-year, maybe a 60-year, maybe an 80-year mortgage is coming in the near future. If we even live to 80, well, then again, when you get a mortgage, you're not just born. You're going to be maybe 20s, probably 30s. Hell, you can't live to 80. What is it, right? Well, that's the solution. That's not going to work. The solution is destruction, financial destruction, reset everything by force. So he said, anyways, and while the chickens and cars, courtesy of the massive subprime auto loan bubble, don't seem to be much of a problem these days, for Americans in over half of the largest cities in the country, owning a home is. So if we're talking the largest cities in America, that means that's where the mass population is. The mass of the population, which is typical, right? Usually coastal areas anyways. But anyway, we're talking of the largest cities in this country. You would expect the American dream to be rampant. And part of that is home ownership. Nope. Not anymore. Used to be. According to a new report from Bloomberg, 52 of the 100 largest cities were a majority renter in 2015, with 21 of those cities having shifted from majority owner markets since the Great Recession resulted in a wave of foreclosures that you know well about from 2009. These include such hot housing markets as Denver and San Diego, and lukewarm locales such as Detroit and Baltimore, better known for vacant homes than residential development. And while a report from the Urban Institute implies that the sudden lack of home ownership in the U.S. is directly attributable to demographic trends, we're fairly certain there may be other dynamics at play, says Zero Hedge. And yeah, I agree with that. A 2015 report from the Urban Institute predicted that rentership would keep rising through the year 2030. Now that's interesting to me for one reason. Remember that little chart I've talked about and showed a few times from Martin Armstrong, his economic confidence model? And it shows 2016, very end of 2016, in the real estate, all the way down to approximately 2031 and almost 2032, the year. And I thought, I'm not sitting here for 16 more years waiting for this big giant. I can't afford to sit here for 16 years and rent to get a sweetheart deal. What about the 16 years I've been paying rent? I could have been paying off a house, right? You follow me? So there's got to be a sweet spot somewhere in between there that old Jason at 4 says, I'm going to jump in. And I think the sweet spot's going to be coming in the very near future. And if you're not sure why, see any of my last videos for like the past month. I have at least one of them per day, because I do 3 a day. One of them has got all the answers in about the real estate market. Where was I? Okay, so a 2015 report from the Urban Institute predicted that rentership would keep rising through 2030, thanks to demographic trends that include aging baby boomers who downsize into rentals. Now let me stop right there, because that is absolute crap. Is there some of that? Sure. There's some of that. There's people, that older folks, they don't know, yeah, I'm going to go to rent. You know what my mindset is? I'm 39 years old, 39. My mindset is, when I'm ready to buy a house, depending on what interest rates are, will I do a 15-year mortgage or do a 30-year? If I do the 30-year, I have the benefit because it's cheaper, as far as monthly payments are cheaper, and I could put a little extra down each month and make it a 15-year anyways, except I'm not going to get the 15-year interest rate, which is better, but that's okay, because if I got my old self in a financial bind, I'd like to be able to say, well, I don't want to have a large payment for a 15-year mortgage when I can have a small one on a 30-year mortgage, even though I was paying off extra every month. Now I'll back off on that. You know what I mean? So they're trying to tell me, so again, my mindset, I need to be paid off, house paid off somewhere, anywhere, house paid off before I retire. And I think, anyways, I'll retire at the typical 60-something year age, right? maybe around 60. Maybe if OJ Snip 4 makes it one of these days. Maybe his YouTube channel goes crazy one day for some reason. It goes viral, and I get massive subscribers and all these ads I shove in your freaking face that you can't stand, and I thank you for dealing with it. I love you guys. Makes him huge. And then, oh, guys, thanks. I'm paying off my house in 5 years. That would be a miracle. Probably not going to happen, and I'm dreaming. But point being, I'd like to pay off the house before I retire, so that when I do retire or any trouble comes up, my house is paid. The most expensive thing we pay every month, it's paid off. So if I'm thinking of the baby boomers who are now older than I am for certain, they're ready to retire, and some are, they're already retiring. They're going to stay away from the home ownership thing and go rent? That's backwards. No, they should have been buying a house, had a house all these years, mortgage paid off, good to go. Except, how much do you want to bet? And I'm sure you probably don't. How much do you want to bet? That a lot of those baby boomers were caught up in the 2008-9 fiasco. Of course, because most of us were. Had a house, was paying it, got a home equity line out of it, fixed up new kitchen cabinets, countertops. Market fell out. Oh my God. Adjustable rate mortgage killed me. Oh my God, default. And now they're renting. But is it that many? Is that the trend for baby boomers? Let's just forget the whole homeownership thing. Let's rent. I don't know about that, but those shifts are likely to present new challenges for cities unequipped to handle high rental populations. Detroit Future City, a nonprofit that highlighted Detroit's shift in a report earlier this month, argues that the city needs an international strategy for dealing with the rising population of such households. That could include providing new protections for renters or creating resources to help landlords keep properties in good repair. On a grander scale, the Center of Budget Policy and Priorities, a Washington-based research institute, published a proposal this month calling for a new tax credit for low-wage workers, seniors, and people with disabilities. That's what we need. Because you know what a tax credit is? It's a subsidy. And here we are fighting about the subsidy on the health care. But the people, what about the poor children who has cancer, or the old folk who has, we can't just leave them. Oh, you mean the one they keep telling us are the 5% of the sick people that have enormous costs that are making the rest of us pay 40+% more on our health care? To deal with 5%, 95% have to deal with that? I keep bringing this back up. This is absurd. No, that's not how it goes. Oh, I got an idea. Let's get a new tax credit for low-wage workers, seniors, and people with disabilities. Who's going to pay for that? Me and you. Most low-income families don't rent by choice, said Neela Richardson, chief economist at Redfin. And plenty of higher-income households rent because they can't afford to buy. Hold on. Have you seen the rental prices these days? Are you sure they can't afford to buy? Or is it just because their credit sucks because of 2008, 2009, and now they're trying to build it back up, and no one wants to lend to them, etc.? And not to mention, banks are a little tight these days, at least recently, getting a little more tight anyways on lending to certain people. Not that mattered all these years, because they were still lending out adjustable rate mortgages. Yeah, maybe not ninja loans. There were no job, no income year approved, but they were certainly lending because the printing presses were kicked on high gear, quantitative easing, take the money banks, park it over here, but lend some of it out to the sheeple. And now what's going to happen next? The credit tightening. It's already beginning. We don't have enough affordable supply in either rental or for sale markets, said Richardson, adding that cities interested in promoting renter-friendly policies can rethink their zoning policies to encourage construction. Like maybe the fact that millions of people just suffered a foreclosure on their credit report and aren't even eligible for an FHA loan for at least 3 years. Or perhaps that silly little rule whereby banks are now requiring a cash down payment when purchasing a home is tripping some folks up, fascists. Or maybe Americans finally just realizing that owning a home was never the American dream in the first place. After, at least for many folks, it wiped out their entire life savings. Right, so now you're a debt slave to the rental system. You have to try to avoid this. You have to try To get out of this, you have to try to do something. If you're a low-wage earner, find some way to make some extra money on the side. My brain, Jason Ford's brain, never stops thinking about, can I do this? Could I earn a little income on the side? And I'll be fair. I was doing these videos for free when there was no such thing as putting ads on here. But when it came about, absolutely, I'm going to put an ad on here. Why not? I get paid a little extra bonus from YouTube for doing it. I'm doing these videos anyways. So in all fairness, you could say I got lucky for a little side income. I get it, and it's true. I got lucky on that. I just happened to be doing these videos, and they implemented that. It's great. It's wonderful. It really is. But that doesn't stop my mind. Oh, well, I'm good now. I got a day job and this. I'm happy. No. I wanted to create a program, a remote control program for computers to control one from work or from work to home, like Log Me In, TeamViewer, whatever. I've done so. I finally got my EIN number recently to get this thing ready to roll. I'm gonna try to do the normal business thing, see what happens. Go out there and compete, and I'll have to advertise and that sort of thing, and see where it goes. My mind is always trying to. If there's something else out there, go for it. Don't just stop. Especially if you're not making that much money, look for something else to do. Find something. Maybe I remember watching one of these shows on TV. I don't even know what it was called. It might have been on Viceland, but they were talking, and it was called about something money, something cash or something money. And it just followed these people around on what they do to earn extra income. And one guy started a tax return place near the ghetto. And they said, you have no idea how much money we're making right now. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Filthy, not filthy rich, but just insane money coming in. He didn't have to do it. The guy was actually doing fine. But his brain, too. I'm always looking for a little extra stuff. So, what's stopping you, right? What's stopping all of us? Just because I have this little YouTube bonus and my day job, it didn't stop me. I'd spent thousands of dollars having some of these programmers do stuff on a website for my website for it to all function together with the program and adding computers to your list that you can control and all that stuff. I couldn't program the website. So I had to pay for that. I had to buy server hardware. It's sitting in a data center right now. I'm paying that bill every month for practically nothing because it's not even really being used by the public. It's being used by some coworkers and management because they like it. It works good. But I don't care. I want to try to push that because it's just, I don't know, maybe that's the way my mind works. But it's not a bad thing to have. It's not a bad trait to have where you're telling yourself, oh, no, I can make a couple bucks here, do that. One of the guys on that show I was telling you about, he'd go find these cars. He wasn't exactly a mechanic, but he was knew enough to get stuff done. He'd buy these little clunkers, not the cash for clunkers, but he'd buy some clunkers, fix them up, sell them for a couple bucks. Not huge profit, just a few $100, because he's buying cheap cars and he knows his clientele can't afford more than maybe $1,500, $2,000, that kind of thing. And it dawned on him, man, if I did the income tax thing, a lot of people spend their money, as soon as they get the income tax, they need to go get a car. Well, I'm already doing the car thing. I could find the people coming in who want to do income tax. I can have a conversation with them. Are you going to be getting a car by chance? Yes. Well, listen, let me show you. I've got 3 cars right now that I repair them and sell them. And he's not a shyster. He's fix them right, makes them right. And, this one's $1,500. And your tax return's $3,500. So if you want, I'll just deduct that. I can take it right out now, plus our little fee, whatever. And, the normal fee they always get. And you can drive out here with the car. You can go test drive it, Oh, yeah, great. That's thinking. That's how you get by this. That's how you say when we're struggling, think outside the box. Anyways, I've talked long enough on this one. But just think about some of that stuff. Take care.